host, Alex Garrett.
All right, well, it is another episode with one of my buddies and former colleagues in radio, Doug Hartt. Doug, I know that you've gone on to do Citrus Appeal. I remember last time I had you on was during the pandemic. Great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
You are the proprietor, you're the founder, the owner. Citrus Appeal is your baby. It's a cleaning service. And, last time we talked, first of all, how you been through this pandemic? I know we last talked to then, so how's everything been since then?
Yeah, it's been great. When you own a business, you have to concentrate on making everything great, or else you don't have a business, So since I talked to you last, we expanded by beginning to offer air duct cleaning as well as dryer vent cleaning. So, we're preparing ourselves for expansion, and this helps the van make more money on a unit basis. So it's exciting.
Now, I know that you were talking about how the protocols were so stringent during COVID and that you guys continue to go, but maybe other small businesses listening and wondering, how they can survive a crisis like you did. You guys survived COVID. Any advice you have? Because, it's pretty great that you survived a pandemic while other small businesses, let's be real, did not.
Yeah, that's true. I think part of it, two reasons why. One was luck. Can't forget about luck because, we approached one chain of daycare centers, and each one is like 10,000 square feet, as I mentioned on the previous broadcast. And, we offered to apply disinfectant to their location, and then it turned into like literally 25 locations. So that took me through the pandemic. It was great. And in fact, the pandemic was probably an easier time financially because the business was, you had to show up and do the disinfection application, and the money was pretty good and nice markups. But I knew it would end, and it ended sort of at the perfect time when regular business flow came back,
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so the next question I have is, people may know you as the Citrus Appeal guy. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. You really have pushed out this brand and what you offer. But what about behind the scenes? Who is Doug Hartt? Because you're a great father. You're a big Yankee fan. You're Canadian. You're from Canada, so obviously you're a hockey fan. But tell us who Doug Hartt is. Maybe we didn't get into that last time as much.
Yeah, I think, it's a great question. I think, in terms of professionally, I rarely liked the job that I was ever at, so I knew that I had to do something on my own. And I think having found this particular thing, which I never would have imagined I would have enjoyed or been well suited to, it's offered me a lot of control over my life, so I could be a good father. And thank goodness, that's largely how I identify myself, is a great father, spends a lot of time with my kid, doing all the things, the firsts again, taking my kid skiing. That's the focus of my life. Taking my kid to FAO Schwartz in New York City, taking my kid to restaurants that I think he should see and taste, it's great. So basically, fatherhood comes first and business is a distant second. And it's pretty simple, but that's who Doug Hartt is, Thanks for asking. Nobody asks who Doug Hartt is. You're asking. That's amazing. What a change of pace. I get to answer a question about me. That's great.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people faced hardship during this pandemic and the years following, but you always seem to have a cheerful approach to life. So did that cheerfulness, did that sort of, I don't know how to say it, but that grit, if you will, get you through the pandemic? I mean, were there any hardships for you that maybe people don't know about?
Oh, interesting. Wow. That question caught me unaware. Great question. Are there any? Sure, there's personal battles that you fight. I can't be a teenager anymore and go out drinking every night. And as much as it was a fun time going out with you to the pubs next to AM 970, eventually you get to a point where you can have 2 cocktails and the next day you're a zombie or something, So, it's about discipline and becoming a good human being and doing all the things you have to do to become a decent human being and actually being happier as a result. So, I hate to sound shallow, but I am happiest when my kid is happy and when business is coming in. And I haven't mentioned health. Health is also very important. I'm at the age where when you treat yourself badly with, like, let's say, going out for bad food, and you start to have digestive problems, and you realize you're not infallible. Nobody is. And you realize you're not immortal, and you have to treat yourself with lightly, I guess. And that's what I've started to do much more than I did when I was working with you over at AM 970. The only thing I could think of back then was when I can get my first pint after work, which was okay at the time, time and a place for everything, I guess. But now it's business, fatherhood, business, and it's pretty simple, actually. And I would venture to say boring.
Well, it is true. When you just want to go home every night, it's kind of like, whoa, when did I become that person, right? Anyway, because I felt the same way too. I always want to go out and party and live the life, but then I'm like, well, responsibilities kick in, and you just got to get up the next morning and do it, and not going out all the time.
Yeah, but you know what? What? You're at the age, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in your early 30s, correct?
31, yes, sir.
Okay, so you're 31. To me, provided you're still single, you should be out there having fun. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, Gabby and I got back together, so that's kind of been publicized a lot.
Oh, that's great. Okay, excellent.
There's some good vibes there.
Yeah, that's great.
And you remember Gabby from years ago, so that's
of course,
yes,
yes,
been relit. All right.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. And so I talked about it the other day, so I might as well just bring it out here too. Now, let me ask you this. I always like to ask a company or people who run companies, hey, since we last talked, have you expanded? Because I always love to hear about companies expanding, growing, not just in one area, but literally have expanded. And last time we talked, you were in the process of expanding, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I'll tell you how I've expanded and then retracted and now expanded again in a different way. I'll explain. When I spoke to you, I was getting ready to expand to Florida, which I did. We opened in Miami. And everything was going swimmingly. Everything was going well. But my partner did not like Florida. So he decided to move back here. And he started to work with somebody in the same industry over here who he was friends with, who actually was my first employee. So I'd hired those 2 guys, one after the other. And now they're basically my competition. So that was the retraction part. So I retracted. I didn't, rather than seek a new partner in Florida, I thought it's too far away. I'm not close enough on the ground to manage everything. I don't know who I can trust. It's just not working. So instead of adding another van, I added a new service. So I bought a duct cleaning system, which was quite an investment. And then, started to call all my old customers, which is great because they're right on speed dial, and then they're not kind of cold calls, and started booking appointments. And these are not like, the carpet and upholstery cleaning appointments. These are a much higher dollar value ticket. So that's a sort of an expansion from within, which is the way it should be done. It's, making each van worth more money on a unit basis than previously. So now when I expand, wherever that will be, and I think it should be much closer to home, it's going to be with a duct cleaning machine inside the van and a carpet cleaning machine extractor inside the van with everything available right there.
You mentioned air ducts, and I remember during the pandemic, and I wonder if this lesson has been learned for businesses and homes. It was a big deal that these restaurants would stay open if their air filter was properly, working, and that it was filtering the way it's supposed to. That way COVID could literally be filtered out of the restaurants and homes.
Yeah. I've got news for you.
Yeah, tell me
total baloney. I admire you for being aware of that, of even being aware of that phenomenon, but it's total baloney. And, look, if you apply a disinfectant to your whole ductwork system, which is what we do, we after we clean the duct, we stick a sanitizing air whip inside all the way through the trunk lines right to the end, and then we pull it back slowly, all the while spraying a disinfectant in the ductwork. How long does that last? I mean, it lasts. How long does disinfectant last when you spray it in your house? I mean, how long will it kill a virus for? Not long. So the way they talk about it as though, once you disinfect your ductwork, you're therefore immune from catching COVID. Nonsense. No, nothing like that. Unfortunately, I wish it were the case, but it's not.
Well, good to know, because I remember there were others that were lauding it. But see, this is why I like to get all viewpoints, and I'm glad that you provide one. Doug Hartt, my buddy, and also CEO of Citrus Appeal. Now, so Citrus Appeal, it sounds so fresh. It sounds so refreshing, if you will, as a cleaning company. What a name, right? But we talked about this last time, that other cleaning companies use these horrible chemicals. They might even leave your home maybe even stained up a bit, right? So how do you guys avoid the staining and avoid leaving chemicals in someone's house or workplace?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the at the core of our sort of chemical offering, well, how we clean, in other words, the surfactant that we use, it's a detergent called BioBreak with Citrusol, and basically, we spray that down. It's good for residential, commercial, upholstery, restoration work, restaurant carpets, and we kind of make our own little slurry. We do a scoop of this BioBreak. And it's basically the power of citrus. It just has 6 ingredients, all of which come from the orange peel. There's no warning from the state of California, which is a common thing when there's anything cancerous or butyls or harmful chemicals to breathe. There's none of that, and so it really is fresh and citrusy. But we mix in an added booster that's made, again, from orange peel, just much more concentrated. It also offers like that nice orange peel smell. And, it's funny, I'm at that stage now where, I have visions of similar to how you're describing Citrus Appeal, like, the fresh, sun-kissed kind of Beach Boys almost, citrusy kind of feel. Would love to brand it like that. In fact, we've begun to, but that's why I've always been interested in seeing how it would do on a radio with a jingle and stuff like that, but, maybe getting ahead of ourselves. But, yeah, the branding is very much related to the reality of the fresh offering that we have. So a lot of parents, particularly parents with money to pay a little bit extra for our service, appreciate the natural kind of aspect of our offering.
So now, are you saying their house will smell citrusy and smell fresh?
Absolutely. I take measures to ensure that. So not only is the pre-spray very fragrant and citrusy, yes, people love us, and we found, just as I had suspected, we're much more popular in the towns where the homes are north of $1 million. Mom stays home, dad's at work. Employees that are in their home are people they just appear that they can trust. Carpet cleaning itself as an industry, you take your average carpet cleaning company, I don't want to mention any names, but the guys that show up are often the ones who have been given a second chance and who maybe do deserve a second chance, but sometimes maybe they don't, And we don't.
Get where you're going. Got a question for you, because the stay-at-home, everybody's worried that stay-at-home culture will ruin the leases in New York, the buildings in New York, all the real estate and whatnot. But I guess it benefits the cleaning company, Citrus Appeal, because you guys get to have the opportunity to freshen up a home to stay at home.
Absolutely. You have good instincts. You really do. I can tell, you're thinking about it from my perspective, essentially, and you're doing a good job of it. Like, customers are often working from home, both the husband and the wife, with the kid at school, or a kid has come home, and they're both doing their thing, and we're cleaning around them. And you can tell people, when you occupy a house all day and all night, you're going to make it a lot messier, and you're going to want to put more of your resources into keeping it clean. So actually, one of the things we do to ensure our customers repeat is when we're finished with the job, we actually take the phone out of the employee. Will take his phone out and say, when can we? How about April 15th of next year? Good. And then we put it in. If they cancel, they do. That's fine. But at least we have it in there, and that's how you have to manage a business. But yes, you're right. You're right on with what you said about keeping your home clean.
Let me talk about the employees, because you mentioned that you mentioned employees, and obviously I don't know how much turnover you have, but you have a lot of staff that make sure the houses are clean. But that's a testament to you that you don't have much turnover and that people are really loyal to you working for you, right?
People are which, sorry?
Sort of loyal to Citrus Appeal, that they stay with it and work with you and work for you, in other words, because you're a good employer.
Yeah, I believe I'm a fair employer, but I've had good luck with pretty decent people. That's not to say I've hired all decent people. I've made one or two bad hiring decisions, but it's taught me lessons. You just have to take chances and then go with your instincts, because every time I went against my instincts, I turned out to be regretfully correct. That I shouldn't have made that hire once or twice. Every business owner is going to go through that, but once we got over that, and you find good people and you're good to them and you pay them fairly, and you do your share of work as well, so you don't just sit and enjoy. You have to work as well. Things go pretty smoothly, but people are important, yeah. And so expansion should actually be slower and closer to home with great people that rather than the Quiznos type of expansion where you just expand, you expand with abandon without caring about who your franchisees are or partners are, and you just keep going, as fast as you can when quality starts to suffer.
I want to let my listeners know this is unscripted. Me and Doug did not really go over the questions at all. I mean, I'm sort of just throwing curveballs here. We are buddies, but I like to keep people on their toes, even if they're my friends, right, Doug? So, got to ask you this. You just mentioned you don't want to be hands off. You're very hands on. So does that include right down to the I hate to say chemicals you use, but those citrus that you use? Are you in the lab helping make this or supervising?
Interesting you say that. I do have a chemist who's sort of on call to make various solutions, but nothing's branded or anything like that. And then I can be my own chemist too. So, for example, we start to learn a lot about chemistry, and I can tell you that what goes into our pre-spray might vary depending on what you have on your carpet. So, for example, now this is really boring stuff, but if you want to hear about it, I'm happy to talk about it. But, if you have a really fancy home with nothing but wool area rugs, I will use a different kind of pre-spray, one that isn't even based on citrus. It's called an encapsulant, and I'll use a different machinery on that. I'll use a counter-rotating brush machine, and, so that varies from the regular synthetic wall-to-wall carpet and a sectional, for example, that's made of synthetic fibers as well. Then I'll use my citrus pre-sprays. But then, depending on any given number of circumstances, let's say there's a dog pee problem, we'll add quite a bit of an enzyme treatment, which actually kind of smells like a Tide detergent type thing. But we always flush with citrus, so when we leave, it smells like fresh orange peel.
We're talking about stay-at-home people, right? But when you do go in, do they stay or do they take a day out and just get out with the kids so you guys can do your work?
Well, I tell you, when we do duct cleaning, we recommend that the clients leave, because we're bringing in air compressors into their home that are massive, into their garage, and they make a huge noise every once in a while when it refills with air. So we recommend they leave, and sometimes they don't, doesn't bother them. They say, no, we're cool, we'll stay, and we're fine with that too. So it's just a little more intrusive, the whole air duct cleaning thing, because there's more wires and louder noises and that kind of thing. More people involved as well.
All right, I've got to ask you this. You say you're hands-on, so do we find you in like the Ghostbusters setup where you got the whole dust buster, if you will, and then the cleaner and everything, and then you're climbing to the air ducts, or what?
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's not to say I don't rely on the younger people, because remember, I'm 50 years old now. Sally O'Malley. I'm 50. So I'm not as young as I used to be, and I rely on my younger employees to set up the ladders to bring in the air compressor because they're willing to do it. And if I have to do it, I'll do it. But I do things a little bit slowly. I don't do it with a speed of a 31-year-old, But you gotta. And actually, it is beneficial to be physical. I think it's a blessing for me personally to be doing something with my body in the workday. Sitting at a desk just killed me. I couldn't do it. And I never realized something as simple as sitting at a desk, the very act of sitting at a desk, that made me miserable at most jobs that I had done. And not at Salem, because at Salem I'd sit down, get my sales calls ready for the day, and then hit the road and just travel through the streets and subways of Manhattan the way Alex Garrett does. Just not on a rollerblade, right?
Exactly. I got to ask you this because obviously the cleaning industry is regulated, right, to make sure everything is safe. So how can people be sure that you guys are abiding by regulations and abiding by the rules, if you will?
Yeah, interestingly enough, in the state of New Jersey, there's no official governing body for air duct cleaning, but there is an association called NADCA, which we're in the process of becoming members of. You have to gear up. You have to, pass a test. You have to pay a bunch of money, quite a bit of money. You'd be surprised. And then you get to enjoy every year a big get together, a big gathering, in various towns. This year is in New Orleans. It's basically an excuse to party, I'm sure. But and the same goes for carpet cleaning. There's no need for a contractor's license, but there are sort of informal governing bodies, I would say, trade associations that people respect enough to, in the case of carpet cleaning, it's called the IIRC. And if you're IIRC certified, people can rely on the fact that you know what you're doing, because they teach you everything. They teach you chemistry, how to tell olefin carpets from nylon carpets, how to do a test to see what the fabric is, which chemicals should be used and which chemicals should not be used together, that kind of stuff. So it's nothing formal, but it's adequate. It's pretty good.
Well, that sounds very good. Now, I'm just thinking here, because you like to be active on your Instagram and your Facebook, but is Citrus Appeal still at a point where word of mouth is how people can come to you?
Great question. I always appreciate when it comes to me through word of mouth. It happened today. It happens most days. It can't happen enough. It's sort of like a famous person who enjoys being recognized. And you're quasi-famous because, you're huge on TikTok and stuff. I can't go a day without passing your clips. So when you get noticed, it's kind of fun, right? I'm sure you do. But, when the business gets noticed and then somebody refers somebody to us and they say so, that's where it came from, it's great. It's also a cheaper way to obtain business than through Google advertising, which can get expensive.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know that people can leave reviews right now for you, and tell us how. You know what? I'd rather customers who actually use our service leave a review. I was actually involved in an unfortunate situation recently where a competitor did something. I won't get into that, but I basically needed to increase my profile standing, put it that way, in within the Google program that I am a member of. It's called Google Guarantee, and we enjoy a really good rating. But in order to keep that up, we have to keep getting reviews, which is important for any business, Well, let me ask you this then, because obviously they say in today's world a review could kill a business or lift up a business. And are you always wary of that review system, or are you confident in it?
Well, it's a good thing, but it's also a terrible thing. If you don't have a 5-star average, you're going to suffer in the standings in this new Google Guarantee world, where if you, Alex, were to type in carpet cleaning Queens or carpet cleaning, Flushing, I don't know where you are, you'll see a few, maybe 2 or maybe 3 max names. local to you that are part of the Google Guarantee program, right at the top of the page with a green check mark next to the name. That's the Google Guarantee check mark. It just means that the company has been vetted by Google, and that they in fact have good liability insurance. They're bonded, insured. They have a real company, that's been verified. They have lots of reviews that are positive, and that's what you need to get basically Google Guaranteed. The problem is that if somebody doesn't like you or whatever, tries to give you a negative fake review, even if you can get that review removed for sure, but let's say it takes 2 weeks, which it does. Well, that's 2 weeks where you're being denied the business from Google Guarantee that you normally would enjoy. So what's it costing you? Well, thousands of dollars. So all of that to say that the Google review world is a cruel one often, and it has some maturing to do. I don't know how that's going to take place, but I hope for a more diverse, diffuse internet world where people look up Bing and Google, or Yahoo, Bing, and Google, different resources to find what it is you're looking for, rather than just one. There's one.
All right, Doug. Well, you're a sales guy. You have a sales background. So does the review system change the way you sell Citrus Appeal to new customers? And even
yeah, absolutely. When we're at 5 stars, which we are, I encourage customers always to, even if, when we've been below that, I've always dealt with those customers who have given us less than 5 stars, because if there's something that's lower than 5, it's something could have been better. And whether it's giving a refund or going back to the job to make it right, I make sure that I make it right. So that's why we have a 5-star review average. But yeah, it's a great thing to tout, as a service standard and a proof of the service standard. When you have 100 reviews that all say similar things, it's pretty good proof that you care about the customer. And the ones that have 3.7% or 3.7 on 5 stars, there's something chronically wrong with at least with the perception of their service level,
100%. All right, I got to ask this because obviously we want to know where you can be found firstly. So where can we find you? What's the website for your own business?
Yeah, it's citrusappeal.com. So it's citrus, CITRUSA, peel, PEEL, like an orange peel, citrusappeal.com. And the website has info on our newest services like air duct cleaning and dryer vent cleaning. Interestingly enough, for air duct cleaning, we will go anywhere. I'll go to the New York City boroughs. I'll go to Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, even Manhattan if it's at all doable. If it's, an apartment building that we can access the ducts, no problem. We'll do it. We have done it. So, yeah, encourage people to check out the website, and anytime they can give me a call, ask questions, and I'm here to answer questions and make bookings if you like.
Love that. All right, you got to ask you this because you are a hockey fan, and I got to ask you, are the Rangers okay? Let our Ranger fan base here in New York know. Are they going to be okay, or are they in trouble for the playoffs, even with the addition of Patrick Kane?
That's funny. You're asking the wrong guy, but Patrick Kane is a very great acquisition, is it not? I mean, he is behaviorally maybe a problem, but I think he's past those days where he's getting into trouble with cab drivers in Buffalo. And I think it's very similar, in my opinion, to the PK Subban trade, where he went to New Jersey. It's kind of the end of his career-ish, and so you're not getting the same Patrick Kane that existed in Buffalo, right?
Right. I mean, and you're a Montreal guy, so obviously it's a little tough situation, but PK was solidified as Montreal Canadian lore, was he not?
Yes, he was. In fact, he famously donated $10 million to a hospital right in the center of Montreal that bears his name, an entire wing of this. I think it's the children's wing of a hospital bears his name. So, he was a great hockey player when he was young, and then his final year in New Jersey, he just couldn't recognize his level of play. You could see him huffing and puffing on the side of the ice when he was on the bench after any shift. It just wasn't the same. But, that's what happens to everybody, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Well, Doug Hartt, I'm going to have you on for another conversation about sports because you and I can go in depth about that. Will Aaron Judge do it again this year? We have to figure that out as the season plays out. We'll have you on for another one, but I just want to get people familiarized again with Citrus Appeal because I know that you've kind of got this campaign going on, and I'm like, well, why not feature it on Alex Garrett Podcast Network?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for doing it, Alex. I appreciate it.
And we will definitely have you back again. Citrus Appeal, P-E-E-L, not P-E-A-L, and find them out online. I guess you could Google them as well, right?
Exactly. We don't go out for carpet cleaning jobs out of the state of New Jersey, but we do cover the entire state of New Jersey for carpet cleaning, and for duct cleaning, we'll go pretty much anywhere. If you're in the boroughs, please give us a ring, give us a shot. We're probably a lower price than your other duct cleaners, and we offer as good a service, if not better.
I love that you expanded to the boroughs. I'll tell you why, because if you're investing so much in the equipment, why not expand, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not just a drive away, and it's a duct cleaning job is certainly worth the tolls to cross the bridge, so happy to do it.
All right, Doug Hartt, maybe in your local business place or local home near you. Why not?
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. And I'm Alex Garrett. This has been the Alex Garrett Podcast Network with Citrus Appeal founder Doug Hartt.